Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. We are live here in London. The time is approaching 10 minutes to 10 p.m. And we're doing my nighttime devotion. We are reading from Lift Him Up. The title today is Jesus Taught Industry by His Own Example. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. Ecclesiastes 9 verse 10. In the simple garb of a common labourer, Jesus walked the streets of the little town, going to and returning from his humble work. He did not employ his divine power to lessen his burdens or to lighten his toil. As Jesus worked in childhood and youth, mind and body were developed. He did not use his physical powers recklessly, but in such a way as to keep them in health, that he might do the best work in every line. He was not willing to be defective, even in the handling of tools. He was perfect as a workman, as he was perfect in character. By his own example, he taught that it is our duty to be industrious, that our work should be performed with exactness and thoroughness, and that such labor is honorable. The exercise that teaches the hands to be useful and trains the young to bear their share of life's burdens gives physical strength and develops every faculty. All should find something to do that will be beneficial to themselves and helpful to others. God appointed work as a blessing, and only the diligent worker finds the true glory and joy of life. The approval of God rests with loving assurance upon children and youth who cheerfully take their part in the duties of the household, sharing the burdens of father and mother. Such children will go out from the home to be useful members of society. Throughout his life on earth, Jesus was an earnest and constant worker. He expected much, therefore he attempted much. Jesus did not shirk care and responsibility. The positiveness and energy, the solidity and strength of character manifested in Christ are to be developed in us through the same discipline that he endured. And the grace that he received is for us. Jesus carried into his labor cheerfulness and tact. It requires much patience and spirituality to bring Bible religion into the home life and into the workshop, to bear the strain of worldly business, and yet keep the eye single to the glory of God. This is where Christ was a helper. He was never so full of worldly care as to have no time or thought for heavenly things. Often he expressed the gladness of his heart by singing psalms and heavenly songs. Often the dwellers in Nazareth heard his voice raised in praise and thanksgiving to God. He held communion with heaven in song. And as his companions complained of weariness from labor, they were cheered by the sweet melody from his lips. His praise seemed to banish the evil angels and, like incense, fill the place with fragrance. The minds of his hearers were carried away from their earthly exile to the heavenly home. So here we're reminded Jesus started, you could say, adulthood, so to speak, as a young man, as a carpenter. He trained as a carpenter And he was not defective in the handling of his tools, means he was very exact and precise in the way he worked. He was a perfect as a workman, as he was with character. How many of us complain? You know what? We work, or we should just be working to pay our bills and to obviously have a decent enough lifestyle, depending on what lifestyle you want. But we should be working to live, and not, as many do, live to work. How many people have put their life in their career? And then obviously when they're made redundant or sacked or whatever happens, their life is devastated because they don't know what to do. But how many of us are working to live? So basically you work to cover your bills, to cover your food, to cover all your expenses and everything, and then some afterwards that you can try and enjoy. Do you have a life outside of work? Jesus did, because he made sure he spent time dealing with people. But obviously all the time he was working, he was learning. He was learning discipline. He was learning the art of the work he was doing. And he was learning to glorify his Father the whole time. Jesus did not shirk care and responsibility. He had positivity, he had energy, solidity and strength of character. And this is what we should be developing for ourselves also. Are you?